I've got an explosive comparison review for you today. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dale, Dale's Leatherworks, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing two legends in the American boot world, the Wolverine 1000 Mile and the Red Wing Beckman in Black Cherry. The Wolverine 1000 Mile boot, this is going to be in one of my favorite leathers, Wolverine Color 8 Chrome XL, otherwise known as Burgundy and or Oxblood. This is a very similar iteration, the Red Wing Beckman in Black Cherry. So both are cowhides, both are chrome tanned. I'm actually selling these Red Wing Beckmans on my website, dalesleatherworks.com. These belong to my buddy Eli, and I'm trying to find these a good home for him. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I also sell kilties in this same leather. This is called Black Cherry. This is from SB Foot. I sourced this from Maverick Leather Company. It's a great leather. It's got like sort of a painted finish. Yeah, so we have the rough outside on one side, which is that reddish black cherry color, and on the outside, this nice burgundy black cherry color. Available in all styles, standard, blind, jagged, and these are the long. Pretty cool to see how the black cherry looks in its unadulterated state as compared to its lasted state. It's a lot brighter, as you can see in the boots here, where it's lasted over the toe. But yeah, as soon as I looked at these, I could tell it's the same leather. Very cool. And so yeah, these builds are very, very similar. Both are Plaintoe. These Wolverines are in a size 8. The outsoles are different. The Wolverines have the classic leather outsole, which is one of my favorites, though they don't put a lot of leather in the sole. It's actually only 2 layers of leather. So we have a midsole and an outsole in leather. So it's kind of thin, which is easy to break in, but durability wise, I prefer a really thick one, like the ones that Grant Stone do, like triple layer leather sole. And if you want more leather beneath your feet, check out my website where I sell veg tan leather insoles in 3 thicknesses. We've got thin, medium, and thick. I also started doing half insoles and double half insoles as well. So depending on your fit needs and support needs, I can do a variety of options for you. I don't recommend the thick unless your boots are hilariously oversized by at least 2 full sizes, because the thick are 15 ounces. It's Herman Oak. It is very, very thick stuff. Generally, if your boots are just off by, say, a full size, I recommend the medium, and if your boots are off by a half size, I recommend the thin. Both are Plaintoe. The Red Wing Beckmans have all eyelets, all the way up, painted black eyelets. The Wolverine 1000 Miles have 3 speed hooks, which is one in favor of Wolverine. I always love speed hooks, though these are not the super robust speed hooks that brands like Truman or Nix or Whites use. These are actually the ones that are sort of flimsy, can sort of cinch down on you if you're not careful. So whereas eyelets, you could sit on your boots and you never have to worry about any crimping going on, which is nice. Both are 270 degree Goodyear welted. Similar construction there. The Wolverines are less bumped in the toe. The Red Wing Beckman has a little bit more spring there in the toe, as you can see there. The Red Wings have a structured toe. The Wolverine's toe feels like it's semi-structured. Yeah. The back heel stays are both similar. The Red Wings back heel stays stitched a little lower, but both have structured back heel stays. Double stitched to house the leather back heel stay in the Wolverines. In the Red Wings, they don't have a leather, or yeah, they do have a leather back heel stay in there as well. So very similar builds there. I could tell that both companies are trying to basically make the same thing. We've got a stitching around the collar on both. We've got a standard hourglass shaped back heel stay on both with the same forms of stitching on both. The Red Wings are different in that they have a black finished roll top collar, whereas the collar on the Wolverines are unfinished, just a raw edge, but they still stitch in a strip of leather around the collar on the interior. So to compare the leather, so obviously I'm biased in favor of Horween. Another point in favor of Wolverine there. Chrome XL on the Wolverines is T-core. I could tell that because both by looking on the interior of the boot, I see the natural facing inward, which is undyed, meaning this Color 8 Chrome XL is only surface dyed, it's not completely struck through. And I have a little gash here on the right boot, several areas where I'm starting to see the natural undertones coming through. Both are triple stitched along the vamp, securing the quarter to the vamp. The Red Wings, however, are Puritan stitched, meaning that we've got 2 black stitches on the outside with a white stitch going down the center, and I believe this Puritan stitching involves some wax as well as they're stitching that together. Whereas on the Wolverines, we've got white stitching, triple stitched, and then white stitching everywhere else. The stitching does not create a dramatically different aesthetic, really, because the stitches are just so small. It's just a feature to point out. Yeah, the Wolverines only use one color stitch, whereas the Red Wing Beckmans have black stitches running up the eyelet facings. And then what's cool is they did 1 white stitch, 1 black stitch along the back heel stay, whereas once again on the Wolverines, all white stitching everywhere. So a point for Red Wing there. They got creative with their stitching patterns. And another point has to go to Red Wing for the sole. Yeah, they did a double layer veg tan insole, midsole with a Commando half sole and a Red Wing rubber heel cap here. These soles are going to last way longer than the Wolverines. The Wolverines, essentially, their leather midsole and outsole are thinner compared to the Red Wings leather, and then on top of that, Red Wing slapped a Commando outsole on there as well. So the Red Wing soles are much beefier. They're going to last forever as compared to the Wolverines. The only advantage to this type of sole is that it's going to flex easier, be easier to break in, but the Red Wings, though they will be more difficult to break in, the sole is going to last forever. So these soles on the Beckmans probably last 4 or 5 times the amount of time compared to the Wolverines. So another point for Red Wing there. As far as comfort, I really love this last. So the Red Wing Beckmans are built on their number 8 last, whereas the Wolverines, I believe they just call this the 1,000 mile last. Yeah, all in all, these are both very comparable boots, but there are quite a few differences. As far as break-in and comfort, I'm going to give the win to the Wolverine 1,000 miles, as well as for the upper. I really love the Horween Chrome XL uppers. However, the Red Wings are going to be just a lot more durable. The break-in is going to be a little bit more tough, but that said, this is probably overall a tougher boot, whereas the Wolverines is easier to wear. I do like the look of the Red Wing number 8 last compared to the 1,000 mile last a little better. I like the sprung toe there. I'm always a fan of beefier toes. That's just me. That's just my style. I know not all guys are like that. In comparing these two builds, the Wolverine 1,000 mile, I typically consider this more of a bumped toe, a little bit more volume there, and it does have a good amount of volume, but the Red Wing last, I think, has a prettier shape to it. Both are 6-inch boots. Both have the same amount of arch support, which is virtually none. Actually, the Wolverines have better arch support. You can tell by this curvature, particularly right here. The arch support's really good, whereas on the Red Wings, 0, basically. It's just a flat descent from the heel down to the toe, which is good. I like my arch support, but I don't need it. It's not the most necessary thing for me. I will say that the finishing on the edge on the Red Wings is very rough. It looks like they used a very low grit sander on the outsole, because you just see the sanding marks, the striations all throughout the leather. It's not a beautifully finished edge, whereas on the Wolverines, they do a little bit better on their edges. I could tell they used a finer grit sander on those edges, though they are still somewhat rough, and I do see some scraping along certain areas, but they actually went and finished it off and buffed it out with some sort of edge finishing, whereas the Red Wings don't appear to have any edge finishing whatsoever on there. Maybe something light, but I can't really tell. The Wolverine's workmanship is probably a little bit more exacting. I always say this, the Red Wings are sort of just put together quickly, so I do see some inconsistencies in the stitching. In terms of SPI, in some areas it appears to be a 1/6 of an inch, other areas appear to be 1/8 of an inch as I go around the perimeter. So the stitching isn't 100% consistent on the Red Wings, whereas it is on the Wolverines. The stitches are exact throughout the entirety of the welt by my eye. So towards the toe, they do it does sort of seem to get a little bit more inconsistent in certain spots, but for the most part, yeah, the Wolverine outsole stitching is better. With that said, those are my thoughts. I'll shut it down from there. Please leave me your thoughts. Which is your preferred American classic plain toe Goodyear welted work boot? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks. I will see y'all in my next video.